Imagine being lost in the woods. Suddenly you hear a howl of a pack of hungry wolves. The howls get closer and closer until the howl turns to a growl. Before you know it, you're surrounded. Our story begins one beautiful morning. The sun was rising, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink. A man named John was setting off for his routine hike through the majestic woods. John loved the forest. Its serenity and tranquility were his refuge. He was experienced and knew the forest like the back of his hand, but today was going to be different. As he entered the woods, birds were singing and the leaves rustled with the morning breeze. The scene was calm, soothing even, the perfect start to any day. John was walking along the familiar track when he noticed an unusual silence. The birds stopped singing. The wind seemed to hold its breath. Even the trees appeared to be waiting. An eerie sensation swept over him. Suddenly he heard a low growl. His heart skipped a beat. He turned around and saw a pair of glowing eyes staring at him. A chill ran down his spine. John froze. A wolf stepped out of the shadows, followed by another, then another. He was surrounded by a pack of wolves, their eyes gleaming in the dim light of the forest. This was a sight John had never expected. The wolves were usually shy creatures, avoiding human contact. Today they looked different, menacing and hungry. John remembered his father's words, "Wolves are more afraid of you than you are of them." Gathering his courage, he stood tall, trying to make himself look bigger. The leader of the pack, a massive wolf with piercing eyes, growled menacingly. John could see the desperation in its eyes. It was a battle for survival. John started to back away slowly, maintaining eye contact. He knew running could trigger their chase instinct. He had to keep calm. The wolves watched him, their eyes never leaving him. They were waiting for him to make a mistake, but John was not going to give them that chance. Inching closer to a cliff, John had an idea. He picked up a stick, waving it in the air, intimidating the predators. The wolves hesitated, their gaze shifting between John and the stick. It was working, but he needed something more. John then picked up a stone. He threw it into the distance. The sound of the stone crashing distracted the wolves, giving John a few precious seconds. He bolted. The wolves, startled, took a moment to figure out what happened. When they realized, they gave chase. John ran with all his might. His heart pounded like never before, but he had a plan. Reaching the edge of the cliff, John quickly climbed up a sturdy tree. The wolves arrived, but they couldn't reach him. The wolves circled the tree, growling and snapping, but they couldn't climb. John was safe, at least for now. As the sun began to set, the wolves started to retreat. They were still hungry, but they knew they had lost this battle. John waited until he couldn't hear the wolves anymore. With a sigh of relief, he climbed down. He was safe, unharmed. John made his way home. He was shaken but grateful. He had survived a wolf pack encounter, a tale he would live to tell. That night, John fell asleep to the distant howls of the wolves. It was a sound that used to scare him. Now it was a reminder of his courage. John had faced his fears. He had looked death in the eye and survived. He had emerged stronger, braver. The man who loved the forest now respected it even more. For he had learned, in the heart of nature, survival was the only rule. So ends the tale of John and his encounter with the wolves, a tale of courage, survival, and respect for the wild. Our story is over, but John's journey continues. The forest still calls to him, and he answers, knowing well the risks and rewards it holds. Remember, the wild is beautiful and thrilling, but never forget, it's also a world where only the brave survive.